Hey, practice owners, welcome back to another edition of the Practice Builders webinar. As we kind of get this rolling, I want to do a couple of quick things. I see people starting to come in. Number one, I want to encourage you to turn off your cell phone, find a place to listen, get a notepad, as always, a pen. You're going to get a lot of information coming at you that I think will prove to be extremely valuable. Our guest tonight from Amplified 360, Lori Bernardo. How you doing, Lori?
I'm awesome. Thanks, Steve, for asking.
Lori is, so I always tread lightly when I say, somebody's been around for a while. They're an old, they've been in the industry forever. It makes you sound old because I've been around for a while. It makes me sound old. But Lori has worked with, I don't even know. Do you even know how many practices you've worked with?
I've impacted probably thousands of practices.
It's a lot
over my career, honestly, across the U.S.
And it's decades. It's not years. It
is decades. Yes, I've done all the jobs, Steve.
Yep. And that's the reason I say that is we have a lot of times we have somebody who comes on who has a title that might be the VP of this or the director of that. And, dentistry is full of practice owning dentists. It's them and a handful of staff. And that's different than a bunch of MBAs who own, who are part of a DSO. Mm-hmm. And, their background is, they worked for some big Fortune 100 company. You've been in the trenches, you worked we've talked before, like, the practices. So that's one of the reasons we like to keep you guys as our experts on the topic we're going to discuss tonight, which we've sort of put a title around, the sleep-deprived dentist, and we're going to let you explain that. This is not a sleep apnea course, but there are a lot of dentists who are sleep-deprived. How to take back control and build a thriving practice. And so maybe that's sort of where we jump in here, Lori. There's a sleep-deprived dentist. There are a lot of docs who lay in bed at night, stare at the ceiling. You do that as a business owner anyway.
Right.
But, I went to Indiana University to learn business. I didn't go to learn dentistry, and now I'm stuck. They're not, sometimes they're staring at the ceiling thinking about a procedure, but mostly it's about insurance reimbursements are down, taxes are up, staff is, always a handful. There's pain in the butt patients. There's all those things that dentists lay awake at night and think about. And you have done a very good job and developed in our conversations a way to help take that stress away. And that's really what we're going to talk about tonight. So ask questions in the chat box. If you have a question for Lori, type it in. If we can't get to it tonight, we promise that Lori will follow up tomorrow. If you have a question for me, do the same thing. But as we sort of get rolling here, Lori, I'm going to just, I think I've covered everything. You're going to cover the 3 biggest problems that keep you trapped and how to conquer them. Mm-hmm. And so if you're ready, let's just get rolling.
I am ready, Steve.
Awesome.
So, yeah, it's funny, Steve. I always, I tell people I'm going to give myself an honorary PhD in dental information, because when you've been in the business as long as I have, you have really become an expert. And there's plenty of us out there, but I really feel like at this point in time, I could speak to just about anything that happens in the dental practice. And honestly, Steve, in all these years that I've been, and I started as a dental hygienist many, many years ago, I have never seen a time where so many doctors that I'm talking to on a regular basis are losing sleep over their businesses. I mean, it's really very monumental. It feels monumental at this point. And that's why tonight's webinar is really so important. And as you said, really 3 things come up in almost every conversation. And it's the top 3 things that are bothering most of you. So tonight we're going to really hit those things head on, and we're going to offer some solutions on how to overcome them and some hope, right? Because there absolutely is hope. And so we're going to help get you on the other side of that. So let me jump in here. Before I begin, so Lattice Amplify 360 is actually one of 3 brands under the Lattice Solutions company. And together with our sister brands, Illumitrack and Dental Post, we really strive to be an all-in-one solution to help you attract and retain your ideal patients with a team that actually can support your growth. And very simply, and I think the real takeaway here is I tell doctors all day long, what we do is we help our doctors work less and earn more. And I'm sure most of you would like to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. We talk about sleep, right? It's not a sleep apnea, but boy, you want to get the sleep. And, I ask, those of you who are listening tonight, how many nights have you actually spent staring at the ceiling, running those business challenges and the numbers in your head and wondering how you're going to keep afloat? If you're feeling that way, you are not alone. Dentists across the country are exhausted, not from the dentistry itself, but from everything else that comes with it. The financial strain, the staff challenges, the endless insurance battles. But what if we could tell you that we could take those sleepless nights away and they could come to an end, and you could wake up every morning knowing that your practice was growing, your income was secure, and you were in control? So that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. So let's hit them right up. Number 1, PPOs and big insurance are eating your profits. I know you work hard. It's a hard business, it's physically hard, it's emotionally and mentally hard, only to see a chunk of your income siphoned away by insurance companies that are dictating what you can charge. It's like you're working for them. You're working on their terms, not on yours. Every day, dentists tell me that they feel like they're running on a treadmill, seeing more patients every day for less money, and that's just not sustainable. And it's a harsh reality. We do live in a world where big insurance is a Goliath, and many practice owners feel like they don't actually have a choice but to remain shackled to those PPOs forever. The PPO plans dominate 80% of the dental insurance market, and that means that for dental practice owners like you often feel forced into accepting those lower fees just to keep the patients coming through the door. But here's the tough math. Now, let's say conservatively, you're giving up 20% of your fee through a PPO discount on a $200 procedure, and your practice overhead is 60%. That means you're giving half of your profit away. That's crazy, right? And what other business would allow that to happen? So many practice owners accept this as a given and think that they have to remain shackled forever, right? But we know, and I'm seeing this trend, that a growing number of in-the-know dentists have made the switch and gone partially or even fully fee-for-service. And, I really want to talk about that for a second more, because when I talk to doctors who are heavy PPO practices, they look at me in terror about the concept of dropping PPOs. But I promise you, with a plan in place, it absolutely is possible to have that kind of practice. So let's move on to the second top thing. It's that staff revolving door. Again, boy, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, when I started in the business, Steve, I was a dental hygienist. There were not enough dental hygienists at that time. They weren't graduating enough for the demand. And so there was a lot of job opportunities for dental hygienists. And doctors were slowly trying to fill those gaps. And then the schools started to really deliver more dental hygienists to the market. And everything kind of balanced out for a long time. And there was always a nice, easy balance with team members. But today, we have all seen it. It's very frustrating. You've invested time and money into your team who leave within months. And that high turnover often means lost productivity, patient dissatisfaction, and constant stress. A strong team is absolutely the backbone of a thriving practice, but if your culture and compensation model aren't just right, you could easily be stuck in a cycle of hiring and rehiring. And hiring is tough enough, and you're bleeding revenue when you do, but an empty hygienist chair can mean as much as $4,000 per day in lost income. And it's surprising to me today how many doctors tell me that they just have given up and are not hiring a hygienist anymore. They're going to do all the hygiene themselves. It's not really healthy for your business. You can build a loyal and motivated team, but only if you can create an environment that rewards commitment and growth. And then you become that practice that everybody wants to work for. So let's move on to the third point. And it's really the rising costs and low quality patients. So it's really kind of 2 in 1. It all kind of feeds into the same thing. Mm-hmm. So like everything else, Steve, right? Everything has gone up. Your supplies, your rent, your wages, it's all going up. But really, the biggest hidden cost, it's the patients that don't value what you do. When you attract the wrong patients, those who just want the cheapest option, you're stuck in a volume game. You're working harder, not smarter. Price-sensitive patients often question treatment plans, they delay necessary care, and they often leave for a competitor offering a minor discount. This will lead to inconsistent revenue and added frustration. By marketing effectively and positioning your practice as a provider of premium care, you can attract patients who actually prioritize quality over cost. An effective marketing strategy goes beyond the basics, but unfortunately, many doctors don't even know how to do this. In a constantly growing field of competitors, you need to make your practice the most obvious choice. Now, how do you achieve this? I'm going to give you some highlights here. You have to create an effective Google presence. That's so important. Google is number 1, has been number 1, and for as far as we could see, will continue to be number 1 in searches. We know that 87% of all dental visits that are being scheduled today are done after a Google search. So you need a presence that portrays your office in the best possible light, one that is safe, inviting, and comfortable, and really speaks to the needs of that patient. Quality content, collateral, materials, a high-end performing website, value-added membership site, and any other materials that can set you apart need to be at the center of your marketing strategy. But you have to draw a line in the sand. If you want to achieve this kind of practice where you're getting those quality patients who will stick with you through thick and thin, regardless of their insurance benefits, you have to draw a line in the sand and decide that you're not going to be a bargain basement dentist whose patients just show up for their free cleanings and never accept treatment. Instead, you want to really resolve to work with patients who actually can't wait for your treatment plans, ones who are excited to look good and feel even better. This is a mindset shift for most practice owners, and it can really start today. Now, I know it seems like a lot, but it's much easier to do when you have help doing this. Otherwise, it can feel completely overwhelming. But I promise you can have a practice full of high quality patients and their families clamoring to you. You know, there's a fork in the road. And if what we've talked about so far really resonates with you and you're tired of dealing with these challenges, the fact that you're actually here on this webinar tells me that you are, in fact, at a fork in the road and looking for a solution. Right now, you can keep doing what you've been doing, hoping things will get better. But we both know where that road leads, right? It's usually more stress, more sleepless nights. Or you can take control, right? You can build that practice that supports your life instead of consuming it. There is a way out of this mess, and a path to greater things. And with the right partner and a right systems in place, this can absolutely be available to you. So let's jump into some solutions, right? Number one, breaking free from the PPOs, right? Imagine a practice where you set your fees, you control your margins, and you attract patients who truly value your care. We work with many successful dentists who are making that transition away from the PPO dependence, and they are actually thriving because of it. In fact, recent data for 2024 shows that 1 in 4 dentists reported withdrawing from certain insurance networks, with an additional 27% considering to do the same thing this coming year. When you have a thriving practice, you can build the right culture. One where your team stays, your practice runs smoothly, and you're no longer putting out fires every day. What we know is that when you're talking about your team strength and your staff, we have found that fee-for-service models can actually boost job satisfaction and loyalty by allowing the professionals within your organization to concentrate on really providing more personalized patient care that is truly valued by their patients. And again, we're all healthcare providers. We're here on this earth to help people. And when you have patients who truly appreciate your health, job satisfaction goes way through the roof. So leadership, incentives, your vision, these are all things that are keys to building a team that grows with you. So I'm going to offer you some suggestions on building a loyal team and positive office culture. Step 1 is it's so valuable and very important to create clear paths for growth and recognition. Humans need that. It is part of our DNA. So establishing an individualized development plan for your team members with very clear and distinct milestones, very, very valuable. And in that, it'll allow you to offer consistent recognition for achievements, team shout outs, bonuses, promotions, and allow you to encourage those team members to pursue their continuing education. Now, of course, most of your team members do need to have their ongoing continuing education, but we want them to really go for those things that are aligned with not only their career aspirations, but also what the practice goals are. Having the whole team really become experts in everything that you are delivering to your patients in your practice. Open communication, positive culture, again, critical to this type of practice model where there really is based around experience, high quality experience for patients and the team. So having those regular team meetings, one-on-one check-ins, encouraging an open dialogue is really valuable to your practice. Celebrating those team successes and milestones, and prioritizing the transparency around your practice goals. You really have to bring your team into that. They need to know exactly where you want to take the practice, what the performance metrics are, what is the patient satisfaction, making everyone feel like their work is valued and invested in your practice. Step 3, implementing meaningful incentive programs. We could talk a lot about this, and we're going to hit this up. When you're not profitable, it's very hard to do that. But when you start to develop that more profitable practice, you absolutely can design incentive programs to reward your people, and they will be much more loyal to you. So let's move on to number 3. Excuse me. This really is the most critical part of making this transition effective. Having a strategic plan for your marketing and your marketing strategy to attract better patients, the ones that want to improve their smiles and their health, value the quality of care and experience over cost, will absolutely shift your practice profile. When I'm talking to doctors all over this country, they often tell me they just want more patients. Yeah, we all want more patients. We love getting new patients, and it's critical to practice growth. But really, what you need is not more patients. You need better patients, patients who trust your expertise and are willing to invest in high quality care. Now, by positioning yourself correctly, you can actually work fewer hours, make more money, and reduce that day-to-day grind. So I'd like to share with you this testimonial from one of our really great clients, Dr. Joseph Palumbo. Dr. Palumbo is partner with Dr. Youssef, and they owned a practice in Connecticut that was primarily a PPO base for many, many years. And they were really at a point in that practice that it was just exhausting them. I mean, honestly, they were done. They felt like every day they just had to work more and more for less money. And worse than that, the patients they had never really wanted to do the treatment that was not covered by their insurance. So they were really, their fork in the road was that they were going to sell the practice. They were seriously considering just selling the practice, walking away. I don't know what they were going to do, maybe retire early, but they were just done as business owners. And, it wasn't because they didn't love dentistry. They loved doing dentistry. It was for all the things we discussed tonight. So we were lucky enough to meet them at a CE program that we were at. And really the rest is history. So when they explained their situation to us, we asked them, give us 2 years. Like if you trust us that we can help you do this, give us 2 years to turn your ship around. Well, they were highly motivated. They started working with Amplify 360 in March of 2022. And by July of 2023, they were completely fee for service. And here's the best part. They actually increased their collections 25% from the previous year. That's a pretty high percentage. I talk to doctors and they're happy if they get 5 to 10% growth in a year. They had 25% growth. Now, they no longer plan on walking away. We asked them, are you still going to sell? And they're like, no way. I'm having the time of my life. I love doing dentistry again. And here's what, to quote Dr. Palumbo, he says, it's been probably just over 2 years now that we've decided to work with Amplify 360 since Dr. Youssef and I made the decision to get out of this insurance network mess. Now I feel like a person with dignity who can call my own shots and treat patients the way I want to treat them. It's like a whole new beginning. Working with Amplify 360, it's just shown me what's possible. We connect with patients on another level and connect with staff on a new level. We're able to do more things, better things. It's all been very rewarding. So the choice is yours, right? Imagine never once again worrying about how you're going to cover your mortgage, your kids' education, your future, or if you'll be able to even sell your practice when you're ready to retire. Imagine a practice that actually works for you and not the other way around. So the question is, the path's right in front of you. Are you ready to take it? Right? So let's make those sleepless nights a thing of the past. It's really not too late to create that solid foundation that encompasses everything that I mentioned. And we could do that much easier and faster than you think. And I think that testimonial from Dr. Palumbo really says it all. I mean, literally, they were motivated. 14 months they did this. But, 16 months, 18 months is not uncommon when we implement those plans for our clients to actually help them get to that point. So my question is, are you building your practice foundation? Do you have holes in your schedule? Do you need more practice calls? Maybe you're focused on practice growth, starting to become fee for service, but you're losing good patients because your PPO patients are taking all the appointments. Maybe you have expansion goals. Or maybe you want to maximize your ideal patient base by reducing all the write-offs. And maybe you desire bigger cases. If you're here, you're probably well into practice growth, and maybe you're just looking to take more time off. That's not a bad thing either, right? So Are you none of these things? Have you achieved all of these? You're 100% fee for service. You've already developed a big case culture, and you've maximized your telephone answer rates, your appointing rates, and all of that. But you still want to attract more of those really great, interesting, life-changing cases. No matter where you are, if you're in any of these situations, we can help you in any phase of your practice journey. We want to grow with you. We know that your practice is not a one size fits all. Your patient care is not a one size fits all. So we actually meet you where you are to create a plan for gradual, sustained growth so that you can build an ideal practice with loyal patients that can guide you every step of the way. So, what's the first step? Well, the first step is to take us up on our offer of a free practice discovery call. When you have that call, what we're going to do is we're going to look at your current situation, show you what's potentially broken and how Google might be penalizing you and keeping you from getting more leads and more good patients. We'll also determine if we're a good fit for you and your practice. So right now, you should start seeing a button on the right of your screen. I'm going to ask you to click on that now. A form will pop up. It's just a simple form with a little bit of information that you'll put in. And when you do that, it's going to give you an option to select a time that's convenient for your practice discovery call. Now, it's a little commitment on your end. If the call lasts only about 15 minutes, there's absolutely no obligation to do anything after. If you feel it's not a right fit for you, you get to meet with a lovely Shelby who has a great insight to your business and will get some information from you to determine if we're a right fit for each other. And again, it's completely free. So again, if you haven't already clicked that button, please go ahead and do so now before it disappears, because once this webinar is over, it's going to be gone, and schedule a time for your free practice discovery call. So, you can basically keep fumbling through the way you've been doing things, trying to get new patients into your practice and potentially burning money while you guess what might work. Or you could take this opportunity and talk to our team here, a group of really respected industry leaders who will actually light the right path up in front of you and make your decision easy to do. So again, if you'd like to kind of be like Dr. Palumbo and have that experience that he had, now's the time. Click that button, and we're looking forward to hearing from all of you. So that's all I have for today. I really appreciate this opportunity and to be in front of you. And till next time.
So, Lori, thank you. I have been it's funny when we do these things. Usually, sometimes it's a back and forth. Sometimes it's just me shut up, stay out of the way, and let you do your thing. You do a very good job of presenting what you guys do. And we have worked with Amplify and the Amplify companies, the Lattice companies, for decades. The Profitable Dentist magazine has had, I don't even know how many people over the years that you contribute articles, you contribute what we call subject matter expert content, and things that, we have a pretty good trade. We get a lot of great information from you for our audience. And, in exchange, we make them available to you. I would strongly encourage the box will stay up here for a minute for a free discovery call. I can't tell you how many emails I've gotten that said, that call changed my life. One little thing that while you want to be a dentist and, do your dentist thing all day long, there's a business going on around you and it's your business. And hopefully one day you get to retire from it. We have a lot of dentists today who find out their practices aren't worth what they thought they were. And mostly it's because they took a lot. Right now, I would say a lot of it is they took a lot of PPOs. And that is not very profitable for them or anybody who might buy their practice. So there is a huge movement to move away. I was pretty impressed. I took, like I always do, lots of notes. I was really surprised at the extra benefits of fee for service, mostly on staff. I mean, PPOs can be a grind on everybody. the person, not just the, the doc doing the work. So we have some questions. I'm trying to lump them together. You have a minute for a question or two?
Yep, I think so. I think we saw some.
I've got, so one, I wanted to make sure that I'm going to summarize these. And basically it's, I love the idea of getting out of PPOs. It's like you hear it everywhere, but in my area, I get several of these. Everybody wants somebody who's in my network. That's their first question when they call. How do you make this shift so that I don't go under, which sounds desperate, but yeah, I mean, this is probably a doc who's staring at the ceiling thinking, man, if I get out of PPOs, I'm going to go bust. My practice is going to collapse, when most times if you do it right, it's the opposite. So it sounds great, but how do I do it right?
Yeah. So Steve, that's a great question. And I get that question all over this country whenever I go out and speak to doctors. So you have to do it strategically. You please don't just lump all of them together and drop it all at one time. There's a strategy that you can in place. We don't have time tonight to talk about it, but one of the systems we put in place is a strategy to help identify those opportunities and slowly remove you out of them. Now, here's this interesting thing, Steve. We know that when you drop an insurance plan, the average practice can lose 15 to 30% of the patients that were on that plan. Okay. Now, here's the cool thing. 100% of the time, that 70 to 85% of the patients that stay, why do they stay? Because they love you. You're their care provider, you're a dentist. They don't want to go anywhere. They don't want to find a new dentist. Now, those patients have a higher annual patient value. And we generally see that revenue go up. That smaller pool of patients doing the same services, 30% increase in your collections. So that right there, and I know it's hard to believe, but we see this 100% of the time. So again, strategic dropping, and we have to make sure your fees are in line, right? That your fees are not too low. Talk to practices sometimes that have lowered all their fees to match what the insurance companies pay out. Bad move. Get your fees up, make the shift, and that will actually allow you to work less and earn more. So you have less patients to treat, but you're going to earn more. How cool is that, right?
They're more profitable patients. I mean, if you're getting rid of patients that you're writing off 40% of the work you do, there's a patient who pays your fee schedule that if they were in that chair, if you spent that money and put them in that chair, now you're not writing anything off. That's and right. When you start, what is it they say? Don't confuse activity with productivity. When I go into practice and say, oh man, we're busy. We're crazy busy. Can't keep up. Yeah, but are you profitable? Because if you're not, you're not going to get to be a dentist much longer. And for the practice owner watching, retirement's going to be a challenge. So I've got one more I wanted to make sure we covered, because you said something that was very interesting to me, and I was expecting something else to come out of your mouth, because I hear every day, how do I get new patients? How do I get new patients? How do I get new patients? And you said, I'm going to paraphrase, not all new patients are good patients. And I think that's, I think I know the answer, but if you would, the question is really, I already have a website, a company that manages it. What would you do differently to attract better patients?
Yeah. So Steve, that's kind of a how's the sausage made kind of question, right? There's a lot of different things that you have to consider. It's like if I came to my dentist and I said, listen, I want to, I want to have a beautiful smile. Like, so what is that? What is that going to involve? Can you tell me how long it'll take, how much it'll cost, what you'll do? Well, there's a whole lot in there. It's not for one conversation. So the answer is complex, but in short, it really is about really positioning your brand. And going back to what I talked about earlier in the webinar today, is that you have to draw a line in the sand. How do you want people to perceive you? Do you want people to perceive you as that bargain basement dentist. And believe me, I look at a lot of websites, Steve, and I think this looks like 9,000 other websites I've ever seen in this position. There's nothing special going on this website. I don't understand who these people are. I don't understand what's special about them. Nothing. It's just a stock kind of story, right? So we want to really create a brand and tell that story. So your website has to really tell that story of who you are, what you do, and why I should choose you. So it really becomes the cornerstone of everything. And then that directs all of your other media content that's created, because that is the consistent story you're telling. And then, let the marketing experts figure out how to get you in front of those right patients. There is a way to get you in front of the right patient. And there are lots of different techniques we use. Technology is amazing. AI has really allowed us to really follow around the patients who are looking for the kinds of services that you want to grow. So, in short, I guess I would encourage you, if you ask that question, if you haven't clicked on the button, you should click on the button, because it's going away when we're done. And I suggest, let me take a look at what you're doing. I want to understand what your current marketing company is doing, what you're investing, what your goals are. Does your brand match your messaging, all of that? So I hope that answers that question, and I'm looking forward to a one-on-one.
I think a lot of viewers that we have tonight, again, they confuse busy with profitable and find out the hard lesson the wrong way.
That's right.
But I would have the same answer. There's a lot we can't cover. Shelby's awesome. Shelby's been with you guys for, Shelby knows a lot. She's a pro, and it's 15 minutes worth of time, and they can literally ask any question, right? They can say, here I am in, Vermont, and we're different here, and we do things different. And the last thing I would say, or sort of end with, Lori and I've talked about this many times before, is, not really. I would bet Lori has seen every conceivable scenario.
Everyone.
It's almost a challenge, isn't it? Call Lori and say, here I am in Omaha.
Yes, shock me.
We're different. Yeah, it won't work here.
Yeah.
And what you'll find is, right, something didn't work, but what didn't work was something you were doing wrong. So, Amplify 360, we love having you guys as sort of the pros we call on when docs are saying, we're struggling, where are the new patients, what's going on, internally, team issues. That's what I said when I was looking at your list of the changes that come with fee for service. It is like a new beginning. You kind of get to reboot your practice and say, all right, here, we're not going to take every stray that comes in the door that has some random PPO that we're writing off 44% of. We can only take the patients we want, but you guys are good at getting them to the door to begin with.
Yeah.
So that's what we appreciate.
Yeah.
So,
And you know what, Steve, I'll tell you one last thing. From my years in clinical, when, and hygienists back in those days moved around quite a bit, and the practices that I stayed in for a long period of time had nothing to do with my salary. It always had to do with the kind of environment, the culture, and those high production PPO practices I could not stay long in them, because I just couldn't work that hard, didn't enjoy that kind of. So when I go back to loyalty, when you create this kind of practice, a lot of your problems go away.
Yeah. I've seen it a zillion times. So, well, thank you for coming on. Practice Builders, it's really built around the idea of somebody who got a dental degree, but happens to own a business. And happens to, at which it means they have all the junk that comes along with it that they weren't trained for, don't really care for, and wish they didn't have to do all day. But they want to see patients, but they're stuck with it. So when they go home, they lay in bed at night, stare at the ceiling, and think it's going to solve their problems, and it's not. So I'll tell you what to solve those problems. I'll do this for you. Click, set up a call, a free discovery call. 15 minutes or whatever it takes with Shelby, and I promise you it will change your life. You'll walk away and say, I wish how come I never thought of that? Well, it's because you're a dentist and you want to be a dentist. Let the pros do this. So,
That's right.
Lori, thanks for coming on. Thanks for doing this with us. Thanks for sharing again. I can tell you've put a lot of effort into the presentation, and we really, really, really appreciate that. Practice owners, if you haven't, click now. If you have any questions or problems, you know how to get a hold of us, steve@theprofitabledentist.com, and we will make sure that we connect you with anybody, Lori, or anybody that can kind of help with your unique situation. So with that, Lori, I appreciate it. Good to see you again.
Likewise, Steve.
All right. Practice owners, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, it's Steve Parker, the Profitable Dentist. Lori Bernardo, Amplified 360, right there behind her. Awesome background. And this is Practice Builders webinar. Thanks for joining in, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time, Steve. Bye.